Happy Sunday, everybody. Thanks for coming out.
So something I wanted to ask you, like I told them before you came up, you've done so many iconic voices over the years. I think there's something that most people have listened to and have connected with one of your characters. Out of your huge list of stuff that you've done, what's a few that were your personal favorites? Maybe they're not the most popular, but ones that you just like. I know Amon is one that you connected with, or not Amon, Zeb is one that you really enjoyed because of your love for Star Wars.
Yes, I do like Amon as well. So, all things being equal.
That's a Korra character.
Yeah, I love Zeb Aurelius. I love Star Wars. I've been part of the Star Wars universe for a long time, but to get to play a character like Zeb that was derived from the old Ralph McQuarrie designs for Chewbacca, it was an amazing thing. And being part of the Star Wars family, it's a global thing too, so everywhere I go in the world, I've got friends now. It's kind of cool. But yeah, I mean, there's so many of the characters that have resonated with me over the years. Starscream, of course, from Transformers Prime, if anybody knows that one. Spike Spiegel from Cowboy Bebop. And so many.
Tank, that thing from Call of Duty. That one seemed to be a fan favorite.
See, I know the audience here. It's all good. Met a lot of you already.
Yeah, that one seems to be one people really like a lot. I've seen people online like, oh, he's Tank Dempsey from Call. That's awesome. I didn't know he did all these other roles. Really, really cool. So, I'm curious, what was it like at the beginning when anime voice acting for English dub really started taking off? I'm just curious, what was that like with the community? What was that like with you guys that were kind of doing some of that original stuff? How did that go?
Yeah, it was rough at first because back then there really wasn't much of an appetite for dubbed anime in the United States or in any English-speaking country. It was always the subbers versus the dubbers, so I had my life threatened a lot back in those days. So I didn't really do the convention circuit. I didn't think it would lead to anything. I just did it because it was fun. And then later on, once things like Cowboy Bebop came out, people started really enjoying it, and it became accessible once we had Toonami. That was the big turning point, was Toonami. So for all of you Toonami fans out there, thank you for watching Toonami.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I really appreciate that. We're still on the air on Fridays now for Toonami Retro Rewind, whatever they're calling that. Hi, I didn't even see you there. Hi.
If only I had regular TV.
And every Saturday night, only Toonami on Adult Swim. So it's gotten a lot easier and a lot better, and
maybe I
people are
should get
discovering
regular
things
TV again
that we had
someday.
recorded 25 years ago for the first time. So really kind of cool to be part of that and see.
Of course I'll pay
It's
for
now
it.
a third generation of people discovering these things. So amazing that it had that kind of longevity. We never knew if anybody would see anything.
It's such an interesting thing about what you guys do is so many times the story is like, hey, we took a job and it was a job. And we had no idea that this was going to happen in the future. As I'm sure when you took the job to be Toonami Tom, like, nobody really had any idea that Toonami really was going to help launch anime, English voice dubbed anime into this wild popularity that it is today. You know, that's where I really first, not experienced it, but had easy access to watch. Because back then, you could go to like Blockbuster and get something from like the used VHS bin, or go to Best Buy and buy a DVD, 4 episodes for $20, and that was kind of your option.
I thought so.
Except Toonami, you stay up way later than you're supposed to stay up and watch it.
I've been apologizing to parents my whole career for that. So if any of you got in trouble, I'm sorry, but not sorry. Y'all turned out fine anyway.
So, my favorite role of yours is Spike Spiegel from Cowboy Bebop. My second favorite role, I told you back there, is Mugen from Samurai Champloo. I think the Samurai Champloo story is beautiful. How did that come about? What was your experience working on Samurai Champloo?
Samurai Champloo was a little bit different.
Never
Cowboy
watched
Bebop,
that.
they gave us that show because they didn't know what to do with it, and they just kind of left us alone. It wasn't doing very well in Japan. Once they realized the quality of that show, a lot of other things started popping up, and some of the same creators who were involved in Samurai Champloo. So they brought me on board, and I wanted to change up the voice. I really wanted to do something different. They said, no, we like what you're doing, Spike. Just maybe make him a little bit younger. And I went, okay, here we go. And it was pretty intense in those recording sessions, too, because the Japanese client was in the room with us. And they were agonizing over every single line that we did. And so, I would literally do one line, and then I would just have to wait, and they go, ugh. heels, and I just hear all this chatter in the back. I go, oh God, am I fired? I was thinking I'm just gonna get fired because they're not liking anything, but they were all very happy with it. Just, they wanted to make sure it was very similar to the original Japanese version. We didn't have quite the amount of freedom that we had with Cowboy Bebop. So I'm just grateful it came out okay.
It came out great, and so it seems like it's almost like the polar opposite of how y'all created Cowboy Bebop, where you had all this freedom to kind of make it the way you want it. Was it done pretty soon after Cowboy Bebop was done?
To the best of my recollection, I don't know, it was a quarter of a century ago, so I'm not really sure. I don't remember yesterday very well, but I think it was around that same timeline. It was pretty close on the heels of it. And we did it with a different studio too, who underbid the original studio. So yeah,
Interesting.
Everybody wanted that show back then.
To go from all of that freedom to just really be, I guess, micromanaged because they wanted it to be. When you have it successful in Japan with the Japanese vocals, makes sense why they wanted to. Hey, it needs to be very, very, very similar. And the music in Samurai Champloo is so cool. If anyone out here doesn't know what Samurai Champloo, it's basically Edo era samurais, right? And the music is like a mixture of traditional Japanese with hip-hop, beatboxing, rap. It's very cool.
In Edo, Japan, yeah. It's very
In Edo, Japan, you're walking around with microphones, beatboxing and stuff.
It's crazy. It's just crazy.
So, what was your personally, what was your favorite moment working on Cowboy Bebop?
Oh man, there were so many moments. One of my favorite memories really was working in the studio with the lady who is now my wife, Mary Elizabeth McGlynn. We were just friends back then, and there were so many scenes where Spike was smoking. And I wasn't a smoker, she was, and she would give me one of her precious cigarettes so that I could have it in my mouth as I'm speaking. And I knew how expensive cigarettes were, and I was previously a smoker, so I tried to carefully put the cigarette back into my daytimer in a little bag that you get in your little old-fashioned daytimers. But you kids who have never heard of a daytimer, look it up. We used to have to write everything analog style. And so I'd carefully put the cigarette inside there, and I'd try to save it for the next session. Next session, I'd open up the book, and it would just be crumbs, and I'd have to sheepishly walk up to her and say, I'm sorry, I broke your cigarette, can I have another one? And so, not quite the badass you think Spike is, as he's crawling on his hands and knees asking for another cigarette. So that was super fun. And I think one of the greatest moments for me was really a couple of years ago. We actually did a panel. I don't even remember what city it was in, but with some of the original creators, the original artists, some of the musicians. It was really cool, and they told us that the reason it became popular in Japan was because we did the dub in the States, and the popularity there kind of made its way back to Japan, and they re-released it there. And so they were just saying nobody would have ever seen the work if we hadn't done what we had done with it. So it was such a surprise, and so we were just bowing down and saying thank you to them for making such a beautiful show. And they were saying thank you to us for helping to get it out to an audience. So it was an amazing moment.
That's such a unique moment too, because it's typically the other way around, right? Where the inspiration comes from the Japanese. So for that to happen, I would say there's probably, if that many, a handful of those situations throughout all of the anime that's been made. Yeah. So what a unique experience to have been a part of something like that.
Very, very rare and humbling for all of us. We were just standing there crying and hugging each other. It was amazing.
We have a couple minutes. I'm going to ask Steve another question. If maybe 5-6 people want to come up to this microphone right here, and we'll do a little bit of Q&A before we end our time together. And I'll ask Steve another question while you guys line up. Fun one right here for me. I collect all kinds of things. I collect all kinds of anime. I collect Pokemon cards, stuff like that. Do you have anything that you collect or that you nerd out on, and just like it's your thing that you like to have?
I've become addicted to Sideshow collectibles.
Oh,
yes, Sideshow
yes.
makes these beautiful statues,
Yes,
and
they do.
sent me a couple of them. And in fact, the way I knew that Mary was the right person for me was that she let me put my Wolverine in the middle of the dining room table on a Lazy Susan, and it's like this big. And so I thought, oh, if she says yes, I'm saying yes to her. That's it. That's the woman for me. So we've got sideshow stuff all over the house. She's a big aliens collector too, so we have like these giant alien kings and stuff all over the house. And now I just buy them because I love them, and I get them as gifts for friends and stuff. So if you don't know sideshow collectibles, look them up. They're amazing.
They're great. I have a couple Hot Toys that I bought from Sideshow. Very, very highly detailed and articulated. 1/6 scale figures. Awesome stuff. Awesome. Okay, go ahead. You first. Come up to the step up to the mic.
Hi, Steve.
Great. How are you?
Yeah. So for Tank Dempsey, what is your? You have two versions, Primus and Ultimus. Ultimus is from World at War, Black Ops 1, the older, more stereotypical, crazy version. And then Primus, which is your favorite version to play?
I love old school, baby.
Old school?
Flush on my new boots. I love that stuff.
Oh, okay, perfect. And one more question. What's your favorite line you've done for Dempsey?
That's probably it. Other than, hey player, drop the chips and give me some ammo. Hoorah.
Okay. Yeah, all right.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I know you.
Hello again. So I have to say first off, while everybody was fanning over Kakashi, I had Zabuza all the way. So my question is actually regarding that, and it is, what is it like playing a character that's so impactful to the main character of the series, is widely regarded as everyone's first heartbreak in Naruto, and was, again, so impactful that they brought him back hundreds of episodes later just to reinforce?
I didn't expect that. I didn't know he was going to come back. I thought that whole arc was beautiful. It really kind of set the stage for everything that was to come afterward. Also, one of the best death scenes I've ever played. I just thought it was incredible. To be able to play a character that badass who was able to express love for another character in that way, you didn't see too much of that back then. So it hit me in the feels too. Thank you for noticing that. I love that.
Thank you so much.
And he also had an amazing sword, which I have in my studio, by the way. Somebody gave me one of these giant swords. So yeah,
That's awesome.
Love
Thank
that.
you again.
Thank you. Hey Bob, I know who you are.
Yes, I am here to fight for mutant freedom, not that humanity see you as an abomination, Wolverine.
I am kind of an abomination. I've played Abomination. I have no problem with abominations. So, what can I do for you?
So you've been not just a part of like what they've mentioned before, but you know everyone knows you as the voice of X-Men, and one of my personal favorites is you is in Digimon, and you mentioned Zeb, and you're part of the Marvel and DC franchise. Is there like any franchise that you wish you could be a part of, and you could do the specific character voice?
Oh man, not necessarily a franchise, but I don't know. Miyazaki films. To be part of a Miyazaki film franchise, it would be amazing. That's something I've always wanted to work on. Never even got to audition for it. So that'd be something. But everything else, I've been so lucky. How do you pine over the things you don't have when I've gotten to work on so many awesome things? I'm just grateful.
Well, I can definitely see you voice acting possibly Lord of the Rings cartoons one day.
I would love to do that. Yeah, I've played on a lot in the Lord of the Rings games, but not in the cartoons, so that'd be fun to do. Yeah, tell everyone. I would love to do it. I'm available.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hello, I'm Alex. I just wanted to ask you, what have been your favorite parts of playing video game characters such as Sub-Zero and Baraka? Like, how does it feel?
Played Sub-Zero.
Sub-Zero was awesome. It didn't hurt my throat.
Okay.
I got to speak in almost a whispered sort of tone, so that was really nice and fun. Baraka, completely different story. The most painful character I've ever voiced. And he would speak in soliloquies in recent days. So to be able to do something like for more than 2 hours is so awful on the throat, and they did not electronically alter that at all. That's all me. You're hearing pieces of my body coming out of my mouth. So thank you for that.
Yeah, just to let you know, I barely found out your voice of Baraka for the longest time since that's that guy right there. Man, he's my cousin. We used to play MK9, MK10. I never knew you voiced Baraka until a couple weeks ago.
Achievement unlocked. Awesome, thank you.
Thank you
That's
very
great
much.
praise. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Hello again.
When you were the voice of Dempsey, with like your first audition, did you think that you were gonna be able to like be a fan favorite, or did you think it was gonna like flop and you're never gonna do it?
Oh no, that was just supposed to be like an Easter egg when we originally recorded it. They had no plan to put us in there to have Black Ops become, the zombie stuff become such a big thing. It was because you guys loved it so much that it kind of exploded and became what it was for 10 years. We had no idea. I never know, and I never expect anything that I do to take off. I just kind of try to be present in the moment and do as good a job as I can and walk away, let it go. So thank you for making it as popular as it was.
Well, thank you.
Appreciate it. It's a good 10-year run. Hoorah. Hi. I'm good.
With the recent passing of the Dragon Ball Z narrator passing, how has that
Doc
affected
Harris.
you, and has that affected your career in any kind
Doc
of way?
Harris he's talking about.
Has he inspired you in any kind of way?
Yeah, it didn't really affect my career, and I didn't know him personally, but I certainly knew his work. And so on Toonami, they let us do a little tribute to him. And man, I just realized, in that moment, the impact that it actually had on me. I'm like that with a lot of stuff. Call of Duty was a good example of that sort of thing too. At the end of 10 years, I realized it was 10 years as I'm sitting there with those guys saying goodbye. Same kind of feeling for me with that. So what we do is so fast and furious all the time. We're just constantly moving, and I'm doing 5, 6, 7 gigs a week. We don't really pay attention to what's going on necessarily with the people behind the scenes because we don't meet them in many cases. And in Dragon Ball, in the case of Dragon Ball, he worked in a different state than I did, so I never got to meet him in person.
Do you feel like you got your recognition and your flowers?
Say it again.
Have you felt like you got your recognition and flowers throughout the years?
Did I get recognition in
Like,
flowers?
have you got your flowers throughout the years? Do you feel like you've got your flowers?
What do you mean by that? Like accolades?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah, man. I mean, coming here and just seeing how people respond to the stuff that we worked on in rubber rooms, and it affects your lives so profoundly. That's the flowers right there. I mean, I hate award shows. I don't like, the star recognition stuff. I don't care about that. I was never really in it for that. This is surprising that this happened, but man, having conversations with people at conventions like this, and you guys telling me your stories and how these shows and games got you guys through hard times, that's the flowers right there. That's the stuff that fills my soul.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for your stories.
Thank you guys for the great questions. If anybody wants to meet Steve, he does have a booth back there in the back on Celebrity Row. You're welcome to go say hi, get an autograph. Before we end, I'd love to